Hi there, welcome to my channel. I'm Nicole Stipkowski, certified canine nutritionist and certified holistic pet health coach. Today I'm really excited to share with you my peanut butter pumpkin Pupcakes decorated with mashed potato buttercream for this Valentine's Day. It's a special treat for our dogs and I'm excited to get started with you. Hi there, welcome back. I am super excited today to be making this peanut butter pumpkin Pupcake recipe with you guys. This is a gluten-free and meat-free option. I don't often make these types of things for my dogs, but for a special occasion like Valentine's Day, I want to also share with my neighbor doggy friends, so I am doubling this recipe today. You'll find this recipe for free below. And let's get started. So we're going to start with our oat flour. These are regular oats that I have ground down in my nifty little NutriBullet. I love the NutriBullet. Works amazing. We're going to just add our oats. This is 3 cups of oats. The recipe you'll get calls for 1.5. We're going to add our coconut flour. Coconut flour is a great grain-free, gluten-free option. Sweetens it up a little bit. And we're going to add our baking powder. That is 2 teaspoons. Your recipe will call for 1 teaspoon. I've added some additional notes onto the recipe card. I wanted to beef this up a little bit with some healthy additions. So I ground up some hemp hearts, sunflower seeds, and chia seeds, and we're going to add that in for a little added nutrient boost for this recipe. We're just going to give that a stir. Beautiful. And we're going to set this aside, and we're going to mix our wet ingredients. We're going to start with our pumpkin, and this is going to be 1/4 cup. I'm using 1/2 cup because once again, I'm going to double the recipe and I'm going to share with all my neighbor dogs. Taste test this recipe for you guys. And then we're going to add our 1/2 cup of applesauce, which is a cup of applesauce for this recipe. Unsweetened applesauce. I prefer organic. For the pumpkin puree, don't forget not to buy pumpkin pie filling. You don't want pumpkin pie filling in this recipe. We just want straight canned pureed pumpkin. All right, we've got that together. We're going to add our peanut butter. It's all natural, no additives. It is simply roasted peanuts. And when you're using peanut butter for your dogs, you want to avoid using anything that's called birch sugar or xylitol. It is toxic to your dog, very toxic to your dog, and we want to keep them safe. So be sure to use the appropriate peanut butter. All right. Next, we're going to add our eggs, and we need 4 eggs. And lastly, I'm going to add vanilla. I'm a baker by trade. I love the smell of vanilla baking. I know that this is for dogs, but when it comes to baking for my dogs, I want them to have that touch of vanilla in there. All right, we're going to whisk that together. We're going to add that to our dry ingredients, and we're going to add water as needed. You can add chicken stock or beef stock if you prefer. I prefer to just use water That way, anybody that's got a chicken allergy or a beef allergy, which is super common, can still enjoy these little mini cupcakes. All right, now it's time to mix these together. We're going to add the wet to the dry. Okay, I'm going to add anywhere from probably a quarter cup to half a cup. We'll see how this goes. This smells delicious. I'm pretty sure I'm probably going to sample one of these. I used to own a dog treat company, and I always made the treats from human grade ingredients, and they tasted delicious because I tried them all the time. People used to be disgusted, and I thought, I don't know why, because there's nothing in these that I wouldn't pull from my pantry. For some reason, when it comes to dogs, we have this notion that it has to be gross when that's just not the case. We can make beautiful things without them being disgusting for our dogs. All right, we're almost there. So that was about a cup and a half of water so far for my doubled recipe. So single recipe, you're looking at about a cup of water, maybe a little less. You don't want it to be too overly runny, so just keep adding as you go. Good thing about baking for dogs is they're not super fussy on texture. I don't have to really worry about overmixing too much. That's my oven preheating to 350. So we've got that going already. All right, that looks pretty good to me. We are going to make 24 of these for sharing today. I've got my half-ounce cookie scoop. I've got my silicone baking tray, which will make them really nice and easy to pop out. I'm not using a cupcake liner today, and the reason I'm not using a cupcake liner is because we don't add a bunch of fat to these cupcakes like you would a cupcake. You would add oil or you would add butter or some kind of fat. It prevents the cupcake liner from sticking to your cupcake. This is not the case. We're keeping these lean and light, so we will skip the cupcake liner for today. All right, I'm just going to scoop these. All right, I'm going to save the rest of this batter and make some extras later on to share with all my neighbor friends and maybe the dog park. And we're going to pop these into the oven at 350 for 15 to 18 minutes, depending on your oven. And we'll come back and start our buttercream. While we're waiting, we're going to make our mashed potato buttercream. I've chosen mashed potatoes because I don't like the consistency of a yogurt buttercream. Never find it holds up like the mashed potatoes do. If you want a really cute cupcake, I want it to hold together, so we're going to use mashed potatoes today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my ricer today. And the reason I'm using my ricer versus an immersion blender or electric hand mixer is to prevent that gummy consistency by adding you release the starch from your potatoes when you overmix. So instead we're going to rice them and make sure we get all those little lumps out. The lumps will clog your piping tip. So we want to try and prevent that from happening. Okay, we're going to split these in half and go from there. When you're peeling your potatoes, you want to get all the little pits out. The little pits will also clog your piping tip. We're going to use a pretty specific piping tip to try and prevent your piping tip from clogging, but potatoes can be unforgiving sometimes and have lumps no matter how well you try to get rid of them. All right, we're going to do some in my other bowl. So in case I forgot to mention, we are making a two-tone swirl cupcake. We're doing purple and white today. A little bit more in here. Split them up as evenly as possible. All right, done. Okay, so here comes the fun part. We're going to leave one of these white, but we are going to color one of these purple. I have pink and purple here. I chose to use the purple. I don't tend to use human food dyes in my dog food. I don't believe that their bodies are meant to eat things like that. I know ours aren't meant for that either. I feel like we're a little more accustomed to it than they are. So instead, I have dehydrated some dragon fruit and I've dehydrated some purple beets. Easy peasy. All I did was slice really thin, put them in my dehydrator on 125 degrees for 8 hours, and when they were done, I simply ground them into a fine powder again with my awesome NutriBullet. I love this thing. It works for so many different things that I do. So we're going to do a tablespoon in each recipe. Now, I am using MCT oil today. You can use coconut oil. You can use olive oil. So this is what I had on hand with MCT oil, so that's what I chose to use. I'm going to do a tablespoon of that. I'm going to add about a quarter to half a teaspoon. This powder is quite potent. I was quite surprised, actually. This is the first time I've made this beetroot powder, and it's amazing. And if you don't want to make your own, or maybe you don't have a dehydrator, you can also purchase ube, which is similar in color, but it is purple yams. And you can actually get this dragon fruit powder. I haven't actually looked if I can get this beetroot powder, but I'm going to guess that I can. I'm just making sure that I don't have any lumps in here before I add it in. All right, we're going to start with a quarter teaspoon. See how that goes. Makes a nice, beautiful mashed potato. If your mashed potato is still a bit dry, you can add a bit more of your coconut oil, or you can add a bit more water. I think for this, I'm going to add a bit of water. And we'll add that other half a teaspoon in here. Now, because we're doing things naturally, of course, we're not going to have, exactly the same as we would for our human cupcakes. So there might be some color flecks that remain in here. I don't worry about it. I really don't think my dogs are going to care. And I'm pretty sure your dogs aren't going to care either. I do have to stir this quite a bit, which is again why we use the ricer versus an electric tool that might mix it too fast or too powerfully and makes that gummy paste, and we can't pipe that. We don't want to do that. Okay. I've also doubled the mashed potatoes, hoping that get it all done. While I was waiting for the other Pupcakes, I decided to finish off that other bowl, and I got about a dozen large cupcakes. So doubled. This recipe got us 24 mini cupcakes and 12 large cupcakes. So now this is going to be our white buttercream. So we're not going to add anything into this one because we're making it two-tone. So I'm going to add my coconut oil, tablespoon of coconut oil. I'm going to add a bit of water if I need to, but I probably won't need to for this time. Adding that beetroot powder kind of dried up our mashed potatoes a bit. So you know what? I'm going to add a bit more water. Make it a little easier on my hands to pipe. So you can see we've got one white mashed potato and one pinkish purple. I'm going to put them together. I'm going to pipe some beautiful mashed potato, pumpkin, peanut butter Pupcakes. Next, we're going to fill our piping bag with our two-toned mashed potatoes. It's going to make a really cute Pupcake. Today, I am using a 1M tip. You can see it's straight. I chose to stay away from anything that had a closed tip. Mashed potatoes are not always the easiest thing to get all the lumps out of, so if we can at least stick to a straighter one, hopefully we can avoid any clogs in our tip and our piping bag. All right, so all we're going to do is we are going to, I have a piece of plastic wrap here. We're just going to lay half of our mashed potato mix lengthwise across the plastic wrap. We don't want to make it too thick. We don't want to make it too big. I would prefer to use 2 sheets of plastic wrap versus overfilling one. It makes it really hard to pipe. So we're going to do two bags. We're going to lay now your other color beside this color, like so. Oh, I just love this color. It's so pretty. I know it's healthy and it adds a level of sweetness to the mashed potatoes that the dogs are going to love. Beautiful. And next, all we're going to do is we're going to roll this bad boy up like this. I'm going to try and tighten these together to try and remove some of these air bubbles. Okay, beautiful. Oh my gosh, this looks so good. We're going to roll this up like a candy wrapper on both ends. Perfect. We're going to make the next one, and then we're going to start piping. Okay, we are going to snip off one side. We're going to pop it into our piping bag. I usually like to get a little bit of the first bit out to make sure I've got both colors coming through. Oh, we do. It's amazing. Beautiful. I don't know if you can see that. Got two tones. Okay. We are going to pipe these beautiful mashed potato two-tone cupcakes. Amazing. Look at these. Sweet, adorable, healthy, homemade cupcakes. I don't think it gets any better than this. Beautiful. I'm really excited about these. All right, I'm gonna do a few big ones. Amazing. Beautiful. Oh my God, they're so cute. And just for fun, I don't think these little cupcakes need it. I think that they are beautiful just the way they are. But if we want to add just a little more to our cupcakes, some sprinkles. I've made these from shredded coconut and my dragon fruit powder. All I did was add my shredded coconut with a little bit of water so that it would cling to the coconut. And simple as that, you've got some homemade healthy sprinkles.